But when it comes to the millennial thing, like, and us dating, what do you think we're like doing wrong? Like, what do you think this generation or our generation is doing wrong that like we're not? It seems like we're not getting to the altar as often. We're having more like children out of wedlock and stuff like that. Like, what do you feel like we're doing?
Well, okay. I'm not gonna say necessarily doing something wrong. I think our parents has traumatized us in a sense where we have seen like our grandparents, our mothers be in like relationships that were toxic, and I think we're just taking our time. I don't think we're staying in things because we have to, you know what I'm saying? Or this is, marriage, you supposed to stay together or you supposed to do this. I don't think we're following like the ABCD like type of thing. We're not checking off the boxes. So I'm not gonna say necessarily we're doing something wrong. I think it's more so like we're traumatized by what we have seen, and it's causing us to go tread lightly going into stuff. I think our generation is pretty much focusing on ourselves, trying to get ourselves to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm not gonna say we're doing something wrong.
Honestly, I feel like we are witnessing the I think we're witnessing the after effects of the independent woman movement. And I think that so many women really do feel like they can do everything on their own and they don't really need a dude, nor do they really want a dude sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And so, um, and I'm not putting it all on the women. Like,
Okay.
we as men, we're definitely going through a change too. Like, I think a lot less men want to get married. Um, and so it's like men don't really want to get married or they're taking their sweet ass time getting to the altar. And then there are a lot of women who are Miss Independent. They want to do everything on their own. They want to have babies, but they don't want to have a family. I think we're witnessing like a lot of like shifts in energy when it comes to relationships in general. You know what I mean? And so it's like it's unfortunate. Um, it's unfortunate a little bit. And I say it's unfortunate because I feel like a lot of these children are missing out on the opportunity to grow up
Yeah.
in a household in a two-parent structure, and I feel like we're cheating the children.
Okay. I
Uh,
agree. I agree.
yeah, and so that's the part of it that's unfortunate. Like, hey, if you really don't need a man and that's what you want to do, like explain it to your children when they don't have good relationships with their fathers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, keep it real about that part. You know what I mean? Like, keep it real with your daughter on why her view on men is the way it is because that was your view. Like, I've come into contact with so many women in the dating world that have negative views on men, and they expect men to be terrible because their mothers dated terrible men.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, you know what I mean? And then like you have men who have so low self-esteem because their mothers talk down on their dads all the
That's
time.
fine. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like the shit is layered and a lot comes with all of this shit that we going through. And I think it affects more than what we think. You know what I mean? And so I think our mindsets on relationships and marriage and children and families and shit like that, I think is very messed up right now. And I think that we're setting up the next generation to be even worse than what we are.
Okay. I see. Okay. I feel like that's based on like your environment, what you're around. Because, all right, like I told you, like transitions to Georgia and being around different people that have different mindsets, right? They have this like still lovey-dovey phase about marriage. They want to get married, but
Yeah.
being around the people I grew up with, right? They have this negative view on marriage.
Yeah.
So I think it's based on like the environment that you are in.
Yeah. And I mean, my environment doesn't really make me feel that way. I'm just saying that based on what I see in the world.
Real, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm paying attention to what's happening. Like, for instance, 70% of marriages are initiated by women and 90% if they're college educated. And it's like, why is that?
Yeah, that's cool. 70%.
it's 70% women and 90% if they're college educated. And it's like
Like,
I think that when you throw in that college educated portion into it, it's like, all right, if you're a woman who can financially provide for herself, you trick yourself into believing you can as well emotionally provide for yourself as well.
yeah,
You can also provide protection for yourself as well. You know what I mean? And so it's like I think even some women who want that protection and provision and all the other stuff that comes with being with a man, being in a relationship with a man, I think even if that woman wants that, she just feels like she don't need it. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
So
I agree. Because think about this. I don't know if you've seen that video I sent you where this girl was basically saying, like, the generation before is taught, like, trained us to be independent women. And now that we're being independent, we're getting dragged because we're not married or we're not dating. And like, I'm like, yeah, because they have put that trauma on us, like, don't need a man for nothing type of. I'm like, I'm gonna tell you now, I want a man.
yeah.
I want to get married. I want to have kids. I don't have this negative like thought when it comes to men. Like, no, I want to get married. I want to have a loving family. Like, I want to break generation curses because even in my own like family, like divorce is at all time high in my family, and I don't want to be that.
The one thing I will say though is that like the same way the times have changed and women still want to be treated as if they're needed and wanted, I think women need to still treat men like that too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, we are in this princess what they call this shit?
soft girl era.
Yes, princess era, soft girl era, like
I got something to say on that.
we're into all of that and all of that is accepted, like whatever, like this is the life that women deserve and this, that, and the third. And it's like women want that life without providing their men the life that they want. You know what I mean? Like men still want to feel needed, men still want to feel appreciated and shit like that. And so it's just like I think the time of being equally yoked, like being equally yoked is like a lost. You know what I mean? It's like people selfishly want what they want in a relationship and they don't care what their partners want. And it's like you're not going to have a successful relationship if that's your view on it.
Yeah. Since you have had 4 relationships in your life, right? What is it now that you're 30? What do you need in a relationship? What have you learned about yourself from your previous relationships?
I need a woman that is completely in her feminine. So I need a woman who's soft, who's going to speak to me like a woman, who's going to treat me like a soft woman. You know what I mean? Like I don't want a woman that's gonna treat me like a nigga on the street. You know what I mean? And expect me to be in a good mental place after being treated like that. You know what I mean? And so I need that. I need someone who I genuinely can spend a ton of time around and we not bump heads. You know what I mean? Like I don't aspire to have one of those relationships where arguing or negative energy is normal. You know what I mean? Like I want a woman where literally 90 to 80% of our time is good energy, good vibes. You know what I mean? And I think I heard this from one of my therapists once before. She told me that a girl that I was dating was she was a fan of chaos. Like, because I told her about me and this girl were friends before we started dating and stuff like that. So I knew a few things about her and like some of the niggas she dated.
I think it's taking us to the Sephora in here.
Yeah.
That's not where we need to go.
Saddle Creek.
Yeah.
But yeah, she pretty much was telling me that like it sounded like she was a woman who was a fan of chaos. Like she liked to date in chaos. And so and also I need a woman who is willing to have discussions about understanding. So I don't want a woman who has a fleeting mindset. Like the moment something shows itself to be an issue, like you shut down, you stonewall, all that type of shit. Yeah, like I don't want to be Um, I would prefer not to be with a woman who is going to shut down and stonewall and avoid certain conversations when issues come about. Like, let's face them head on. Let's figure out what we need to do and let's figure out a solution. Um, I need a solution, a solution based partner. So those would be like some of the top things to like really get into. I probably have to like write down and like actually see my words. Um, And then the last thing is what I talked about earlier, just that like being sexually equally yoked.
You name what you need in a girl. How do you like see yourself as a man in a relationship?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, how can I explain it? Okay, for me to feel like I'm important in my relationship, like I need someone in my life that will allow me to be a helper, right? Like, how do you want to be in your relationship?
Um,
Like, what makes you feel like a man,
what makes me feel like a man?
like in your relationship? Because most people, because I feel like a lot of men feel like, okay, providing is what makes them feel like a man, right? If they can't provide, they feel less than a man.
I think for me, I mean, definitely that. I think that's like baseline. Um, I think what makes me feel like a man in my relationships is like when my woman comes to me and asks me for guidance on something.
Okay.
So I think like you said, like helping, I wouldn't necessarily use the word helping. I would use giving guidance or offering guidance. That is, you know what I'm saying, something that makes me feel like, I mean, like you come to me when you might be unsure of something and you ask me my insight on what it is you got going on. Like that makes me feel like, all right, you care about my input.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you want to hear my thoughts on certain things and you trust my provision.
Yeah. Me too. Like I like that. Like I like for my guy to like come to me and like see what I think.
Yeah.
And I like that. It makes me, yeah, feel good.